Upstate golf guys, here we go. Anthony Rogers steal the show. RGB Florida Mike on the scene. Hollywood Mikey living the dream. Eagle, birdie, par, bogey, fly. Swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean. Golfing addicts chasing the green. Scrounge up balls from trouble spots, off the tee or random plots. Long drive legend with a grin. Grip it, rip it, let's begin. We're the crew you can't outdrive. Golf obsession keeps us alive. Buzzing by in a golf cart spree. Talking swing, sipping iced tea. Eagle, birdie, par, bogey, fly. Swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean. Golfing addicts chasing the green.
And welcome back to another episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast. This is episode 101. We celebrated 100 episodes last week. Pretty big deal. We've had some awesome guests throughout the golf community on. Just make sure you go check out some of those episodes that we talked about. Florida Mike, I got my main man, my co-host with me tonight. What's up, dog?
What up, brother? How are we doing today?
Doing great, man. I'm doing great. Did you golf at all this weekend in them 88 Lynx golf shoes or what, brother?
I played 9 holes yesterday for just a quick one, 3 over. Not bad.
No, not bad. No.
Game's starting to come along. Swing change is working finally.
Hell yeah, man. And I got those 88 Lynx shoes. I'm gonna say broken
So
in,
good.
but like they come broken in, bro. They're like they feel so good as soon as you put them on your feet. They really don't need any breaking in, and I absolutely love them. Like I told the guys I was golfing with the other day, I feel like I'm wearing nothing on my feet right now. There they are, right there. 88 Lynx. He does it. He specializes in shoes. Nickname Shoe Dog. He knows his stuff, that's for sure. But he also has golf shoes or golf shirts, gloves, ball markers, hats. I'm wearing one of his hats right now. Definitely check him out over at 88lynxgolf.com and use Upstate20 for 20% off.
Best shoes you'll ever buy, I promise you that.
He's not just saying it. They are super comfortable. He's been working with big shoe companies throughout the world his whole life. He's 50 years in the business, so he's not just some Joe off the street trying to make shoes. He knows his stuff, so definitely check him out over there. We're not just fooling around. It's great stuff. And then, of course, check out my man Marty over at Trouble Off the Tee. He has some awesome hats from Never Lay Up to I'll Go Alone. You got one over there, Florida Mike?
Right there, Never Lay Up.
Never Lay Up. There it is. He puts a little comedy to his hats, but then he also has a really awesome audio book. It's called Trouble Off the Tee, and it follows a young man who has it all to go to the PGA, but he just steps in shit the whole way. So it's a great story. Don't want to really ruin it for you. TroubleOffTheTee.com. Use Upstate20 at checkout. But Florida Mike, today we're joined by Evan, a PGA professional, custom club fitter, and owner of Hudson Valley Indoor Golf. Evan's built a reputation for helping golfers of all skill levels improve their game, not just through lessons and swing tips, but he also does it with the science and precision of custom club fitting. From state-of-the-art indoor simulators to years of PGA experience, he's seen firsthand how the right equipment and training can transform a player's game. We'll talk about his journey, the art of fitting clubs, and how technology is changing golf both indoors and out. Evan, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Sir.
It's going great, man. Thanks. I know we were supposed to link up last week, but I had the opportunity to go play Shaker Ridge, and you totally understood.
Hey, you can't pass up a good track. You know what I mean?
No, you already
But,
know, man.
It could have been the 100th episode, though. If you skip me over, now I'm 101.
Yes, you already know. It's funny because we're actually, for the listeners, we haven't even recorded episode 100, so it's kind of weird for me saying that. Tonight we will be recording episode 100, where we're going to be going back to a few of our favorite episodes and a few of our favorite highlights throughout the run that we've had. So it'll be a pretty cool one, man. It'll be a pretty cool one to listen to.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Thanks, Evan. And I also want to give a shout out to my man Rob Valeni, who actually gave us the link up, Evan, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Rob's awesome guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was a big part of me getting hooked up with, the Upstate Golf Tour and everything, and getting, everybody kind of on there, and, talked with, you guys a bit, and it was awesome to, jump on as a sponsor for that. It's exactly my, my type of people, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
just
the
all
golf
levels.
obsessed.
Golf obsessed, all levels of golf.
Right,
we're all
yep.
levels, which
100%.
is huge. We're not all professionals out there, and I'm sure you work with a lot of beginners that are just learning the game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like, that was actually one of my things I always used to talk about was, like, golf, kind of has this reputation sometimes of being like, oh, am I good enough to play? And I always like to say golf is just a game for everybody, right? It doesn't matter how much you suck. Like, enjoy the suck. That's part of what makes it great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just shanked one. I was, all right. Let me go find it and try and do something better next time.
Absolutely.
And, I spent so much time working with beginners and things like that. And, everybody has so much enjoyment, and then the game grows with you. I always joke, right? Like, golf is a really stupid game that I love. I just can't get enough of it. And, even after playing like at a good level, and like right now I don't practice, right? You get in the business, right? Like, Florida Mike will know you're there. Like, you work all day behind a shop counter or something. You're like, you want to hit balls? Maybe I'll go have a beer instead.
See 1,000 swings a day, and you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. Maybe I'll do something else. How about going fishing? But
right.
Exactly.
But what I was gonna say is that, like, even with all the, like, stuff you see and crazy swings and experiences you have, you still love the game, and there's always a challenge, no matter how good or bad you are, right? Like, everybody's on the same course, you're playing the same things, maybe not necessarily the same exact courses as you see the guys on TV, but you stand over a slippery 12-foot breaker, right? You see a guy on TV miss it, you're like, I could miss that one too.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's funny seeing a pro actually, chunk one or shank it like once in a great while. I actually prefer watching like the ladies golf because I seem like they're still really good, but they'll miss those 3 or 4 footers more than the pros will, and it's like I relate a little more to them. It's funny.
Well, also, like, I feel like the distances are somewhat more reasonable. You see somebody rip like a 380-yard drive, you're like, well, that's not reasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that will never be me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the ladies play from the whites, and the most common tee box is the white tees.
Right.
So everybody gauges that.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
It's great going to the PNC. You ever been? I know you said you lived in Florida for a little bit. Did you ever go to the PNC Championship?
Yep.
That's great.
Actually, so a buddy of mine, actually, when he worked at the Ritz where they host the PNC, he was their like tournament and event guy for a while. And he actually got to like announce the players coming up on 18. So I was there.
Awesome.
And, he let his dad announce Jack Nicklaus coming up the 18th, which was pretty cool. He like handed the mic over to him, everything. But he was able to hook me up, with some inside the rope stuff there. When it was first getting big. It was the first year that Tiger and Charlie played, which everyone goes crazy about.
Every year, every year, it's a crowd.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's that whole event has just gotten huge for an event that means nothing.
Right? And you see a lot of shanks. Yeah, it means absolutely nothing, but everybody has fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Like, it's not always just about hoisting a trophy. It's out there having a good time, and seeing fathers and sons playing the game, right? Like that's some of the best stuff there is.
It's awesome. Yeah, I like watching JD and his son John Daly, and his kid's actually really good.
He plays for Arkansas, right?
I think did he graduate, or he's still playing over there?
No, he's still there.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a good stick, and then you got who's the two that always win? The guy with the
Langer, Bernard Langer and his son.
Yeah, they always win. They always end taking it. But yeah, it's a fun one.
Bernard Langer tees off from like the forward tees. Did you see that one last year? He hit like 80 yards past Tiger because he had a 75-yard advantage.
Yeah.
On the tee box. I was like, oh well, okay.
Well, that happens like in our tour because the older guys get to tee off from the senior tees, but some of those guys still hit the ball good, man. They still hit the ball good long ways, and like they're out 20, 30 yards past me. I'm like, jeez. It's crazy. But Evan, let's get into you and your business a little bit. How did you get into golf, and what led you into becoming like a PGA professional?
Yeah, so I mean, it's actually kind of a funny story. I was back in the day, right after college, and I played NCAA golf, and I got hired to be a teacher in New York City, and I moved to Brooklyn, and I taught 8th grade English in Brooklyn for a while, and obviously I still love golf, and there was a Marine Park golf course was right down the road from the school where I was an 8th grade English teacher. And I would go in, the afternoons because I was going to get caught in traffic on like the Belt Parkway. I was like, nah, I'm out of this. Like, I don't want to sit in traffic. So I'll hit balls for 2 hours and chip and putt, have a beer, kind of hang out, and then get home 5 minutes later because I was going after all the traffic. And while I was there, like, people kind of like asked me for tips and pointers. And I literally just organically kind of started like, oh yeah, just do this with your hands or do whatever. This one guy, Andre, was my first ever lesson. And he was like, oh man, thanks. You really helped. I made, I was teaching him how to hit these like little 40-yard pitch shots from this chipping area they had. And, he literally was like, oh, can I buy you a beer? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm totally down for like, trading lessons for beer. Like that's a good start. And, we kind of went on and, we ended up meeting up there like once or twice a week by accident, and it was kind of the same thing. All of a sudden he was like, no, seriously, like, can I pay you for a lesson? And I was like, well, I'm not really a pro. I was still thinking about like playing amateur golf and like, well, maybe I might do like an open qualifier or something like that. And I was like, well, let me talk to the owner, and to make a long story short, I ended up, setting up a lesson with him. And then, like 2 weeks later, I had his entire foursome, taking lessons. And then I was literally just kind of standing on the edge of the driving range at Marine Park, giving lessons, and people came in and like, it just kind of blew up and people were like, oh my God, you're like really helping me with my game.
Yeah, you must have that personality too. That like some people just attract to that as a teacher. And if you were teaching one, and then 2 weeks later it was his whole foursome, I mean, he was obviously saying this guy's great. This guy knows what he's doing. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's what exactly. It's just like totally organic. And at that point, like I wasn't a PGA professional yet or anything. Like I was just taking what I knew about my swing and golf in general, and giving people pointers, and I was there, and then I talked with the owner, and I kind of ended up transitioning into being the head pro at Marine Park while I was also a teacher, and I was doing it on the weekends and over the summers when I had a lot more time, and one thing kind of led to another, and I was like, okay, well, I'm at the point now where I want to take this more seriously. And I'd kind of gotten enough of teaching, right? I mean, I'm not going to go off on a whole tangent about, public education because that's not what we're here to talk about. But I, needless to say, I'd had enough. And I was like, I'm going to go teach people how to play golf. That's a way more enjoyable way to like spend my time. And, that's how I got started, as a PGA apprentice, and went through the program, and, went down to Florida and, met a bunch of like awesome people while I was there. And I left Brooklyn after like 4 years teaching golf in the city, which again, if you think about characters, like, man, there's so many stories you could do. You could do a whole series of podcasts on just like ridiculous things that happen in golf in Brooklyn. I mean, somebody probably is doing it actually.
Okay. I'll have to look for that. I mean, everyone does a podcast now.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Sure.
Like, there's got to be like a Brooklyn golf podcast of just ridiculous things that happen. But you went to Florida, did that, ended up working for the PGA of America while I was going through the program, went through, kind of their whole deal. And, I was the outside ops manager and tournament guy at PGA. And we're doing, I mean, thousands of rounds a day. It's 4 golf courses in Florida in peak season. I mean, it's just absolutely jamming. And then my wife and I wanted to have kids. So we were like, well, is this really where we want to raise a family right now? And the answer to that was no. So we moved back up to New York, and I got a job in Columbia County, Columbia Golf and Country Club as their head pro. and I did that for a while. In the first couple seasons, you know, the winters, I just saw everything was dead. Right, there's no golf access anywhere. You know, this was kind of right before simulators were starting to blow up, and I just, you know, was like, we got to do something. Like, there's literally nothing for any of my members. And I went to the club actually and was like, hey, you know, do you want to put some simulators in here, you know, as an amenity for the members? And the club's like, no, we're not doing that. And I was like, you guys cool if I do this on my own? And they're like, yeah, sure. So that's kind of what happened, you know. And during COVID, I was building out, you know, what is now Hudson Valley Indoor Golf, and kind of designing the space, and, you know, getting my hands dirty, ripping up the floors. And one of the other members at the club, who's an awesome guy, you know, fellow golf nut, you know, helped me with all the construction. We built it out and put the bar in, and, you know, did
awesome.
all that. Yeah.
It looks awesome.
And, yeah. Now it's you know, it's a 6,000 square foot golf mecca.
That's great. How many simulators do you have in there?
Yes, we got 5 full sims. They're all the Unicourse, IXOs, which are great. They're, you know, good for righties, lefties. You know, they're mounted overhead. And you know, when we were designing it, you know, again, maybe I'm just a little bit too much of a nerd for some of these things, but I was like, all right, if I'm really like playing golf inside, right? Like you said, you know, earlier, like, simulators are kind of like their own thing, right? They are their own thing. So I was like really trying to figure out what would make, you know, the sim experience feel better, right? And I'd played indoor golf other places, and I always felt cramped. And I was like, you know what? I want my bays to be huge, right, and private. So, you know, we have 12-foot ceilings, which is, you know, 4 feet higher than the minimum. A lot of people kind of go that 9, 10, right? And we're sitting there at 12. So even if I have one guy who's like 6'7" ish, you know, really tall dude comes in.
Jeez.
He doesn't even sniff the top of the, you know, bay. You know, they're 16 feet wide, so you got righties and lefties standing next to each other comfortably inside the bay. Everything's mounted above your head, you know, so you can really just kind of swing freely and not, you know, get that like indoor golf phobia.
Crampy feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally got you. Because that kills it, man. That's
Right.
That's awesome. And when did you officially open? You might have said it. How
Yeah,
long has it been?
I definitely didn't say it. I mean, we kind of had like a soft opening in 2021.
Okay.
You know, like we had some of the bays up and running, so people were able to come in and, you know, hit some balls. And, you know, I just got my liquor license at that point, so, you know, I was literally selling like 2 types of beer, you know, and it was very much a super low key, you know, deal. You know, might have been a circular saw in your backswing while I was building the bar or whatnot. You know, but everyone came in. It was, you know, a bunch of guys that I guess really kind of knew me and were just excited to be playing golf all winter.
That's awesome, man.
And, you know, we've been growing, and now it's, I mean, you know, we're going strong.
Well,
you know,
now I'm assuming that you'll get a lot of the Golf Week Am Tour guys now at your location, because we were kind of scrambling around. I would rather give somebody like you, a small business owner,
yeah, appreciate
for sure. Absolutely, man.
Place
But,
looks
let's
sick
go-
too. For a guy
Yeah,
who's
it
never
looks
really
awesome.
been in a simulator, it looks real nice.
It does look really nice. It does look really nice. I'm interested. First of all, I want to rewind a little bit. Where did you play NCAA golf? Just out of curiosity. I know you mentioned it.
So I played at the College of St. Rose, which is now like defunct.
Not
You
there,
know?
right?
Yeah, there were some poor financial decisions by someone there. I don't know the ins and outs of all that, but, you know, college went away, and we actually had a great golf team, to kind of, you know, throw a nod out to some other, you know, PGA pros in my section. The teammate, you know, I don't know if you know Bob Kane. He's the director of instruction at
I
Saratoga.
do know Bob. Yep.
Yeah, Bob's a, you know, good friend of mine, you know, and teammate from college, and then his older brother Kevin Kane, who is now the GM at Colony Golf and Country Club.
Okay.
He's, you know,
We played over there last year in an event. Actually, the Times Union, the invite, the Times Union 2-man.
Yeah.
And my buddy and I actually won it, but it was because he had a ridiculous handicap.
Hey.
And we used the girl. Yeah, it was bad. It was like everybody looked at us like, how the hell did you get a birdie every hole? I'm like, well, my buddy Mikey, you know, he bogeyed everything and he was getting 2 strokes, you know, what do you want me to do?
Like, that'll do it.
You know, but yeah, it's fun. That course over there, I'll tell you what, the country club life is, I've gotten the treat to play at almost every country club in our area, and
Yeah.
there's nothing like it, man, playing over there at those clubs. Like I said earlier, I get to play Shaker Ridge a few times a year. I'm good friends with Matt McGarvey, who's been on my podcast. He's the RPI coach. I think that's my favorite. I think Shaker Ridge may be my favorite out of. I always say the 4 that I play the most is Shaker Ridge, Troy Country Club, Albany Country Club. I have a friend over there as well, and then Colony, which I only play the once. And I think Shaker Ridge is my favorite. I don't know. Everybody has their reasons.
Yeah.
Have you played most of them, or?
Yeah. So I mean, I played all the 4 that you just mentioned. You know, a couple dozen times each, and you're right. They're all awesome tracks. I mean, Colony Country Club was my home course in college. So, I mean, I played there 3 days a week for 4 years of, school. So, I got a lot of rounds in there. I actually passed my first PAT there way back in the day. But I'm trying to think, I mean, Shaker's a great layout. Colony's a great layout. Troy is so fun because it's so old school, like with those small greens and, all the slopes.
Blind shots.
I mean, the hill on 9 is, the stuff of legend. Right, I mean, you got the bell at the top to make sure you don't accidentally kill somebody waiting at the bottom.
I caddied that course for Matt, and I will never, ever offer to do that again ever in my life.
Well, you gotta carb up before you do that one.
Yeah, man, it was it's a lot of walking over there at Troy, a lot of hills, but a beautiful track as well. And then I don't know, Albany Country Club. It's again a great track, but it reminds me of like Freer Park on steroids. It's just
that's a good way to put it.
It's a lot like that layout. It's beautiful course, beautiful track, but it might be because I play Shaker Ridge the most. I'm a little biased towards it, but I love the way those greens roll so true.
Yeah,
it's great, man.
Those greens are like lightning.
They are.
And then you have to keep track of where the airport is too, right? That's
that's where everything rolls. Everything rolls to the airport.
Pretty wild. You're sitting there like, where are the planes taking off? Right? Yep. Shouldn't you be reading the green? I am. Why are you looking at the sky? What the hell's wrong with you? Right, just trying to figure out where the airport is.
Yeah, the gentleman, the 2 we were playing with, kept asking Matt, "What was the airport, Matt? What was the airport the other day?" It's funny you said that, but But I want to get into what you do with the custom club fittings for the listeners who have never been fitted, including me. What exactly happens during a custom club fitting?
Yeah, so I mean, custom fitting, and I mean at this point, I don't even know how many thousands of fittings I've done. There's no 2 that are the same, right? You got to come in, and this is the same thing for my lessons and fittings. You got to go in and just start talking to the person in front of you, right? Like someone's going to come in and they're going to have a problem. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, I bought these clubs when I was 14 years old and I was 3 feet tall because I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet. And now I'm 6 foot. And they're obviously, there's stuff like that. But the big thing is talking to a player and finding out what is it that you want out of your clubs, right? What's your ideal ball flight? What are your shortcomings? Do you want more distance, right? Because some people do, some people, don't. Right. Some people want precision. Some people want workability. Some people feel like, they can't get their timing right because maybe the weight is off. Right. There's, a lot of things you have to start with the player. Right. And that's always the first piece. And I'm a big fan. Like I blend technology a lot because, there are a lot of different companies that all make great stuff. And, each of them has their own, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, things that they do uniquely that are also really intuitive. So with like Mizuno, they have a shaft optimizer. Yes. Sorry. Got a lot of kids in there said, did you feed the cats? No. So like Mizuno has a shaft optimizer that, has sensors and gyroscopes embedded into the actual shaft itself, which allows you to see like your release profile. It gives you the toe down, how much the shaft bends down, not just flex in reverse, but it also flexes towards the ground. So it gives you a better read of like how the dynamic lie angle of the club is impacted by the shaft you're using, to really make sure that like, you have the correct lie angle. And it kind of gives you, okay, based on your bend profile, right? Do you need a stiffer tip or, a firmer, butt section? Like how aggressive do you need your stepping in the midsection, right? What's that look like so that you can really get your like optimized, most efficient trajectory, right? And then it kind of takes Yeah, okay, well, there's 200 shafts. No one has time to try that many, right? And your swing's going to fall to crap before you can. So, you really like, okay, well, we've got maybe 30, 40 good swings from a player where they're swinging like themselves, in an hour and 15 hour and a half session. And you really got to like be diligent about making sure you don't waste those swings. So you get a kind of shaft start. And then, like I really like Ping's lie angle chart. Like I kind of go back to that. Like I've had so much success with them having really kind of engineered the crap out of, well, everything, I guess. And
I use a Ping driver to ching.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I mean, how about the G440 this year is a special thing. I don't know if you hit that one, but
No, I got the 425.
yeah,
I'm a Callaway guy.
I mean, it's one of those like, it's funny. Like all the club companies are making great stuff. I think Ping's G440 is the best Ping driver I've ever seen or hit this year's. Super forgiving. Like you can hit some pretty bad shots, and then you look at the results and you're like, wow, how the hell did that stay in the fairway? It kind of hangs in there. Like I
think they're better than those QI 35s. I think they're way better. The Pings.
Yeah, I think the Ping G440 is a hell of a club for this year. I think the Callaway Elite this year has got like probably one of the hottest faces, right? And
I use the triple diamond.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the spin down and everything. And it also it's got a better shape to it. I think it sets cleaner at address. But anyway, going back to your question about club fitting, is after you kind of get a sense of like what bend profile they're looking for, you've talked to the player and said like, oh, I'm looking for distance, I'm looking for forgiveness, I'm looking for, kind of like the blend between those two. I want a traditional whatever. You've taken your measurements, how tall are you? What's your wrist to floor, right? You've used your charts and kind of figured out, what lie angles make the most sense, to have like a good, turf interaction so that you can, again, get away with murder almost. Right? I mean, properly fit club, isn't necessarily about making your good swings better. It's about making your bad swings way better. Right.
Yeah. I need that, man. I need that.
I mean, the thing is crazy. You go through the process with somebody, and I always track every single shot you hit on the screen, so that you can see. And you're like, oh, well, here's my dispersion with my current 7-iron, and you hit a bunch of other 7-irons. You go through everything, and then by the time you're done, because you kind of, as a fitter, I'm constantly tweaking and making little adjustments based on, the data. I'm like, oh, I want to see if I can get you a little bit more spin here. I want to see if I can get this down a little bit. I want to get the trajectory, whatever, right? I might take a degree of loft off or, whatever, just to kind of take it and really get everything super custom, to get all your numbers like really dialed in tight. And then by the time you're done, you're like, oh, look at this. It's, 15 yards longer with a 60%, improvement in dispersion from best to worst, and, you're like, oh, it's nice.
There's a huge difference.
So like your initial one, might be like a wide circle, And then at the end, you've got a little circle here that's much further and more concise. Like it's, people are like, oh, that you say, I'm like, well, this is what you're buying, right? You get to the end of the fitting. This is, and it's all apples to apples comparisons. Like there's a lot of places, and I won't name names, but that jack the fitting. Oh, look at this. You're hitting the driver 320. No, you're not. Right. Like it's just, it's downwind at 10,000 feet elevation, with a tour ball and a 20% distance boost on there, like all the things in the back end. Right.
Dealt with those down here.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what I always say is, when people come in to make sure, because the last thing I want, because I'm a serious guy when it comes to that. Right. I'm like, okay, take your club and you hit, you warm up, and then we're going to delete all your warm up shots because they don't count. Then I want you to hit, 6 or 7 of what you would consider average to good shots. And if there's a bad one, we'll delete it. That way we're not making sure like we're judging a poor swing as part of it. So you're getting like, okay, this is the best of my club, right? Based on what the player chooses. Like I don't have any input into that. If they're like, oh, no, that one wasn't good, just take that out. I just take it out. I don't want it. And then at the end, they're like, oh, wow, I'm really this much better, with this club. It really is 10, 15 yards longer because it's the same bay, the same person. No settings have been touched or changed at all. Right? It's 15 minutes later than it was, right? Like there's only one variable, and that's always what the club is itself. So you're like, oh, okay, I can really attest that these clubs are better, right? Because there's nothing else has changed. And you hear, I hear it all the time. People go out and they're always, like, oh my God, I can't believe how much better these clubs are, right? Like I dropped 3 strokes off my handicap in 3 weeks just because I'm hitting everything better. Like I make a bad swing, and then instead of being OB right, I'm, maybe I'm in the right rough, right? It's not going to make you a tour star, but it keeps everything in. It saves you 1 lost ball around. It gets you 1 more green regulation around. It gets you 1 tucked pin, around. You get your wedges, 5 feet closer, which translates to 1 putt fewer, right? All those little things that, cumulatively add up to, wow, I'm a different player now, right? Like it all kind of spirals into that, and people come back and they're happy. I always, I get people like, oh man, you charge for your fittings. I'm like, hell yeah, I charge for my fittings. I was
Absolutely.
like, right? I was like, if you want the information, don't want to buy clubs from me, like that's cool. Like, I'm getting paid either way, right?
Yeah.
Because you're paying for my expertise, because I can outfit pretty much anybody. I mean, again, the guys that like the Kingdom or whatnot, are obviously also excellent, but I know what you're getting, with my experience and everything. So if people like don't want to buy their clubs, like that's fine. I'm happy to give you the information. Like I'll tell you these exact specs. You're a 1/4 inch long, 1.5 degrees flat, 1 degree strong, loft. You need this shaft. We're gonna tip it. We're gonna hard step it. Whatever. Right. We want to change the swing weight a little bit. We can throw a little hot melt in the head. I mean, most people, like 99% of people, don't need that, but you can do that. Right. And then with like the TaylorMade drivers, the adjustable weights in the front, right, where you can take and shift the gram weights between the heel and the face. What you can do for like better players with controlling spin rate, that way is wild. It's very, very cool.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
I'm due for new irons.
Yeah.
So I plan on. I definitely already spoke to it. I'm gonna come see you, I think, this winter.
man.
But the driver and a couple of my woods, they're pretty new. Like, would you be able to adjust those like
Yeah, of
clubs
course.
as is type? You know what I mean? If
Totally.
instead of going brand new, do you do things
Yeah.
like that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
We also have a full, I think we might be one of the only, if not the only, full like custom clubs shop around. So like you can bring
Nice.
clubs in, like, hey, can you sandblast my wedges? I want to do a blue oxide finish on this 7-iron. Okay, cool, no problem. Obviously reshafting stuff. Oh,
Sure.
I want to put these custom like rainbow ferrules on my club. Yeah, we can do that, no problem. Obviously grips and all that easy stuff, loft lie adjustments, can do all that.
It's good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, I mean, we
Love it.
Club repairs have come in. The 7-iron broke. Yeah, right knee or left knee? Left knee. What? Oh, I mean, it broke in the bag, right?
Yeah, right.
People snapping clubs and whatever.
I'm sure they do.
Oh yeah, but they, you get, I don't know, 3 or 4 of those repairs a week.
Wow.
Oh, all the time. My shop does the same stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah, exactly.
they always say, "Oh, I didn't do it. I hit a root." Yeah, okay. You could tell where the break is if it was their fault or not.
Yeah,
My
I would just suck
favorite-
up
I
the
love the
embarrassment
stories.
and buy a new one. I'd just be like, yeah, I just need a new 7-iron, man.
What's funny is when people come in, like, because every once in a while you got like the guy who's got the personality, be like, man, I was so pissed on 8. I shanked it right. I hit a slice out of bounds and cracked right over the knee. He just owns up to like, yeah, I snapped it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hand of accountability is
you have
awesome.
a good laugh, you fix the club, everyone's happy.
Yeah. Be honest about it at least. I
Exactly.
wrapped it around a tree. All right.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Smashed a T marker.
Yeah.
Evan. Wyndham Clark.
So this.
Oh yeah.
So this leads me to the next question, because I am not going to buy clubs off the rack. I'll be coming to you. But what's the biggest mistake golfers make when they buy clubs off the rack?
Making assumptions about their own game, right? That's the thing. Give me a minute. Okay.
Here.
There we go. The biggest thing golfers make is they make assumptions about their own game that are not true. Golfers are terrible at being honest with themselves about like what their game needs, right? Everybody thinks they hit it further than they do. Everyone thinks that, they're going, they swing this, speed. They need the stiff flex shaft. they need all, then they're almost never right. Funny story about that. When I was a level 1 PGA apprentice, we were down in Florida doing like the week-long seminars, and they have a whole bag of totally unmarked, no paint, no markings whatsoever, other than like a number 1 painted on the butt end of the grip. And your job is to go with one of the other apprentices and give them a club fitting for this driver. And you go through and you make your swings, stats and everything, and you take your data off the club fitting or whatever. And then at the end, you compare notes as to what driver everyone hit the best. And you go through, and again, these are all like assistant pros or head pros that are in the program. Like most of them have passed a PAT. So these are like good golfers, right? Mm-hmm. Not like 20 handicapper. And the driver that everyone hits best is a 43-inch, 13-degree, like regular flex. A couple people went full senior flex. And it's like, oh, wow, you hit that 265 on a frozen rope 10 out of 10 times, right? And you're like, oh, yeah. And then the tour stiff, which is what everyone thinks they want in that, group, hit slices 4 out of 10 times. They got one toe duck hook in there, And but I mean, like you were saying, people come, go off the rack, they go to, a big box store, and they're like, oh, I need this. I need a 9-degree. Oh, I hit the ball high. Well, you hit the ball high probably because you have the wrong shaft, or maybe you're teeing at the wrong height. Like there's so many other variables that, they just, you're, kind of run-of-the-mill golfer doesn't understand without someone who has an objective view of their swing and say like, oh, you're coming in and doing this. I mean, that's one of the things we joke about. You go to like a PGA meeting where you got a bunch of like the local pros in a room together, and there's, 1,000 things that are talked about, over coffee before like the meetings start or whatnot. But everyone's got a couple of their stories of like the most ridiculous, like lesson you gave, and, I was talking with one guy, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I was like, guy came in, he couldn't understand why he was hitting the ball like a moon ball. He's like, I feel like I'm swinging really well. And, had a great swing. I literally just had him tee the ball a 1/4 inch lower, and he got it like 40 yards, because he was just getting under it. And he was like, are you serious? He was like, all I need to do
simple.
is lower, absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just
crazy.
the littlest thing. Sometimes just somebody needs to look at you and see what you're doing wrong. Another thing I would like to do is maybe I might take a lesson or two with you, because
sure.
It's you seem like you know your shit, and you seem like a nice guy and somebody that could teach me a few things for sure. So I might set a few things up on the on the text for sure with you. Absolutely, man. But all right, we're gonna take a quick break, give my sponsor a shout out, and then we'll be back to wrap it up with a couple fun questions I like to ask my guests.
Awesome.
Sound like a plan? Awesome.
Sounds
we'll be
good.
Right back. Is your swimming pool looking more like a pond these days? Don't sweat it. Swimming Pool Repair Experts has your back. Since 2000, Swimming Pool Repair Experts has been the trusted name for top-notch in-ground pool renovations across the greater capital region. From liner changes and pool bottom refinishing to plumbing repairs, opening, closings, and stunning upgrades like lighting, benches, stairs, and decks, Swimming Pool Repair Experts does it all. Their expert team is ready to bring your pool back to life so you can dive into some summer fun. Because what's better than taking a nice dip after a long round of golf? Get a hold of Jim over at Swimming Pool Repair Experts today at 518-858-2587. That's 518-858-2587. Or check his website out, swimmingpoolrepairexperts.com. And don't forget to tell Jim that you heard about him on the Upstate Golf Guys podcast for that extra discount. All right, we are back with Evan. All right, now that we've been through your business and what you do, I like to do something fun. We ask mostly every guest that comes on a few questions, right, Florida Mike?
Yeah,
we like to run them out a few spitfire questions. So,
all
right, first question we're going to run you. It could be anybody dead or alive. Who would be your dream foursome to play with? 3 guys.
So, if I was, 5 years younger, I would have gone, Tiger, Arnold Palmer, and Ben Hogan would have been my old school one. And this is going to sound super cheesy, but it's like absolutely the truth, is my new dream foursome is, with my, wife and 2 kids. Right? I mean, my kids are young,
There you go.
and that's like kind of like, my reimagined golf dream is like, oh man, I get to go play, 9 or 18 holes, like with my wife and couple kids. Like,
I love
that
it.
round of golf is like definitely where my head is at right now. So, there's a double answer for you, but like the
I
second
love
one's
it.
Cool.
First
am.
time somebody has answered a question like that, Evan, and I love it, man, because I can't wait for my girls who are very young, but they play golf. They're not, Maya does.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
9, and then Millie comes in on the mat and she just putts away. But I cannot wait till the time that I don't want to wish time away either, but till I'm actually going out there and competing with them and, shooting the shit with my girls. My wife has no interest. She'll never play, I don't think. But the girls, they'll be out there with me for sure. But that's a great answer. All right, if you could have one golf course anywhere in the world tomorrow to play, where would it be?
Oof, man, that's so. I've been, like, stupid fortunate that I've been able to play so many like amazing courses.
So would you go back to one of those courses?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I haven't played St. Andrews, so like that's kind of on my bucket list.
Okay.
I'd probably go St. Andrews. Like, I'm definitely a sucker for the history of the game. The question is, I actually have a set of hickory shafted iron clubs with persimmon heads as a, an additional set, and an old, like, again, it's like I got a mashie in there, the niblick, got the old stuff.
Yeah.
So whether
It'd be sweet if you could play that backwards with those clubs.
Mhm.
That would be sweet. Play the course backwards with the clubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would. Yeah, so that would be. Yeah, that would be a cool experience. I got to play Pine Valley, and that was that was special. I haven't played Augusta, so that would obviously, I guess, be the other.
That's just so hard to get on. You have to get the invite. You have to know somebody. I mean, it's so hard to even get on. But how about Pebble? Did you get over there? Pebble Beach?
Yeah, so I haven't done Pebble, but I did Cypress, and everyone was like, "Yeah, Cypress might be better." And it was unbelievable. The other one that I don't know why, like, I just really liked it, was Harbor Town in Hilton Head.
Hilton Head.
There's a whole different vibe and feel to that space.
Greens are so small. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such good position golf, and like everything it flows so well. Like, there's probably one of my favorite, like, not super famous courses. Right. Like, obviously, Pine Valley is kind of the one that everyone knows. And, that course is just brutally hard. And obviously impeccable conditions and all that stuff. But I think my, other favorite that has to go in there, it's be Harbor Town.
Nice. Yeah, I visited Hilton Head on my first time ever last year.
Yeah.
I went down with this group with the Golf Week Am Tour for Nationals, and I played Arthur Hills, Palmetto Dunes, and
a buddy of mine was from Palmetto Dunes for a while.
Oh, nice. Oh, God, beautiful. And then the other one was kind of crappy. It was cool. It was nice. Oyster Reef. It was all right. It wasn't like, the other two were just, I think I was comparing them to the other two I played, and, it's like apples and oranges. But, Hilton Head is amazing. It's probably, Florida Mike and I are going again in October. I got to kind of work some things out. I know he's 100% in, but I got to work some things out still with.
Yeah, I already got my Airbnb.
Yeah, I know you did. We could play. I think we could play Hilton Head, or I'm sorry, Harbor Town at a discounted rate. I believe if we
I'm gonna play the Island course this year.
Okay.
The one where
as a warm up.
Evan might have played it since he's played Harbor Town. In Hilton Head they have that boat you got to take out.
Yeah,
it's like 45 minutes or whatever. It's a golf course all by itself.
So I haven't played that one. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it.
Me too. I'm playing that this year.
That'll be fun. That's awesome.
It looks amazing.
You going for like Mike? You're going for a few days before the tournament starts. You're going for a whole week.
Yeah, I go for a week. I go Monday to Sunday.
Good for you, man. Good.
Yeah, you gotta experience the whole thing, and I use one day to golf a golf course that I'm not playing or I have never played while I'm there.
Is that the one? Is that island? That's the Fusky Island that it's on, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think someone sent me a plot of land there. Like, there was, a very reasonably priced like acre and a half of land. I was like, oh man, you put like 3 nice houses on that, but the plot of land was, again, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was not like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, like 50 grand or something. You're like, okay, we'll split 50 grand 3 ways and we'll have, beachfront or, island property. I was like, yeah, that's not bad.
It looks amazing. Like there was like a ton of deer in the pictures and videos I was looking at, and like the boat ride's pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I can't wait for this year. Things feeling good.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I'll be up there, in the cold in October. Yeah.
Oh, I'll get smashed, I'm sure, again, out of the 130, 140 people that are in it. But I go have fun. I don't even care. We're flighted, so I'm in C flight, so I'm like a 15-9 right now, 15, something like that, with whatever the tour. I don't have an official gin. I just go by whatever the tour tells me. So, but yeah, I go there and I get smashed from some really pretty good golfers, even in C flight, that are throwing out 3 rounds in the low 80s, and I shoot in the low 80s, but then I'll throw 1 round out in the mid 90s. That's usually what happens to me, that when I'm down there and I blow it up. Just not the consistency isn't there for me. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with the competition, man. It's a different game for sure than just playing with your boys.
Casual golf.
It's the best though.
Is totally different.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my worst thing is everything is funny. I play with my boys. They're like, "Oh, that's a gimme." I'm like, dude. Like, if you guys played on tour, I'm like, you got to putt all this shit out. I'm like, I'm missing half these freaking 3.5 footers. It's a different game. But all right, let's wrap this thing up. I have one more question for you, and then we'll wrap it up. This is a fun one. If you could play, or you have to play a course with 4 clubs and only 4 clubs, what 4 clubs are you taking?
So, I've actually played tournaments like this, which I think is a blast. Like, it's super fun. So I'd probably take. So I got 4 clubs. This is gonna sound funny. I would not bring a putter because I'm a pretty filthy putter with a sand wedge. Like, I can hit a bellied wedge, probably 90% as good as I can with a putter. So I definitely bring a sand wedge. I would use that to chip and putt. Probably bring like a 7 or an 8 iron. Yeah, let's go 7 iron. I mean, that's a pretty good mid iron. And then, I guess because I got a 7 iron, a wedge, I'd probably go driver, just that way, get it way out there.
Put it out there.
And then,
I'm just doing. You could have done it in 3. Sounds like you could have done it in 3 clubs, man. You don't even need a 4th.
I was going to say, so I was picking my 4th. I was like, actually, I'd probably go like, I might go 6 iron, 9 iron, sand wedge, driver. Because I was mathing out my distances right there, where I was like, okay, so if I hit it this, I have a hole that's this long. I was kind of like backing my way into covering the widest array of shots.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun tournament to play. I would love to play a tournament like that.
You guys
I want to play a Greenskeeper Revenge.
Those look fun too.
Those are nasty. Depends on the course though.
Sure.
I've seen people put those on like holes on a 45-degree slope. So you don't make it come back and like, oh, I got a 40-yard pitch after having a 15-foot uphill putt. Great.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's just cruel. No, those look fun too. Absolutely, man. But Evan, this was a blast. I don't want to keep you all night. I know you have little ones you have to take care of. But why don't you tell the listeners one more time where they could find you, brother?
Yeah, so find me Hudson Valley Indoor Golf, hvigolf.com. Come hit me up for lessons, club fitting, or even just to kind of shoot the shit and have a beer. It's a good place to hang out when you can't play outside.
Love it, man. And I will certainly be coming there this winter. I'm a man of my word. I told Rob, actually, before we even had this podcast, I said it's funny you're linking me up because I really need a new set of irons, and I've been wanting to do a fitting. So this is all working out, brother. I'm gonna get these clubs through the season, though. I'm gonna get these clubs that I have through the season, and we'll. I don't want to change things up too much, mid-season. You know how the game of golf is. So we'll work something out right after nationals. Early winter.
I'll throw another one at you, which can free little bonus strategy for everybody listening to the podcast.
Let's do it.
The best club buying season is right at the end of the year because you're waiting for the new clubs to come out. So everybody's throwing the 2025s on sale. Everyone's clearing out their back office. There's deals to be made, right? and then you can get a great value on something that's there. Or most people at that point will have a preview of like what's about to drop. So then you can position yourself to be like one of the absolute first to get your new clubs in, like February, whenever, the release date is.
All right.
That is the time to be in the market.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for letting the listeners know a little inside tip, bro. But make sure all the listeners go check Evan out at his indoor spot. I think it'll help you out if you go over there and play. Either play at the sim, or if you want that club fitting, he'll hook you up. So go see Evan out for sure, guys. He's awesome. But I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Mike,
thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Florida Mike, have a good night,
sir.
brother.
Yeah, you
always
do.
Appreciate you hopping on, and all the listeners, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast.
Eagle, birdie, bar, bogey, fly, swing that club, watch it sky. Lombardi putter shine so clean, golfing addicts chasing the green. Upstate Golf Guys, that's the vibe. Golf and laughs keep us alive. Tune in now, don't you see? Podcast legends, it's Anthony and me.